Good morning, Kingdom Life Preparatory Academy third graders. Today we're going to learn about subject and verb agreements. Hopefully you have your page 131 and 132, which discusses subjects and verbs. Today I'm going to use this PowerPoint to kind of hit on some important key points, and I will also upload this in the Google Classroom. Okay, keep in mind that when we're talking about subjects, a subject is a person or a thing that is being discussed. So we can agree that a subject will be a noun. The verb shows action. Okay, it shows what the subject or what the noun is doing. All right, some rules of subject-verb agreement. Every verb must agree with this subject. Keep in mind that singular subject has singular verbs and plural subject have plural verbs. All right. Keep in mind to make a noun plural, we add s. So if it's singular, if you look here for girl, it's singular, it does not add an s. For plural, it added an s, okay? All right, to make a verb plural, we take away the s. It's kind of confusing a little bit, but keep in mind, I'm going to go right back over it. So if it's singular, he talks. Our verb will have an S for singular, okay? If it's a verb and we want it to be plural, we're going to take away our S, okay? All right. I'm going to skip over some of this. All right, rule number 1. Generally, if the subject doesn't end in S, the verb will, okay? So if the subject is not ending in S, the verb will, okay? If the subject does end in S, the verb won't. So it's very simple to remember that. That's just rule 1. Subject ends in S, the verb will not. The subject doesn't end in S, the verb will, okay? All right, so an example they gave you was the girl dances. Keep in mind that this is our subject or a noun. There is no S on this subject, okay? On this one, it's the S on the verb. You see the S? So keep in mind, no S on our noun or our subject, but we do have an S on our verb. All right, the girls dance. Now, they changed the sentence a little bit because they added an S to the girl, and they took the S off dance. So now we have an S on our subject or our noun, but we do not have an S on our verb. All right, let's practice a little bit. Okay, number 1, he talks quietly. Now, which one is our noun? This is our noun, he. What would be our verb? Will we use talk or talks quietly? Keep in mind that if our noun does not have an S, our verb will. If our noun is not plural, our verb will be plural. So I guess the answer would be talks, right? Do you agree? He talks quietly, okay? Number 2, they read their assigned books. They, would they be plural or singular? They is plural because it's talking about more than one person. They, and then we'll make our verb what? Singular. Read their assigned books. They read their assigned books. All right. Number 3. Kim goes to the coffee shop every weekend. Kim is singular because we're talking about one person named Kim. So we would have to make our verb plural. Kim goes to the coffee shop every weekend. All right, number 4. We writes letters for our friends abroad. We is plural because it's talking about more than one person. So that means our verb will be singular. We write letters for our friend abroad. Okay, number 5, Ian sings well. Ian is one person. We're talking about one person, Ian. So that means our verb will be plural. I'm sorry, y'all. Ian sings well. Okay. All right, rule number 2. Rule number 2 says, if there are 2 or more subjects joined by and, the subject must be plural, so the verb will not get an S. So the boy and the girl dance, okay? We're not going to go too much into that one because we're working on simple subjects and verbs, okay? But I did want to point that out just in case you see one and you know it, okay? That may be all that I wanted to discuss here. So keep in mind, let's go back to rule 1. I'm sorry, y'all. Rule 1, remember that the subject doesn't end in an S, the verb will. And if the subject does end in S, the verb won't. Okay? So keep that in mind. All right, if you look on your worksheet, 131, we're going to talk about number 1. In this one, well, before we talk about number 1, we talked about verbs the day before. Y'all heard me talking about the helping verbs and the action verbs. Okay, so yes, we have different verbs. We have several different verbs. We have an action verb, linking verbs, and helping verbs, okay? But keep in mind that we're only talking about our action and our helping today, okay? All right, so there are different types of verbs. Some show action and some don't, okay? The ones that show action are called action verbs, okay? They show action. It tells what the subject or the sentence does. So things like skipping, hopping, jumping, playing, those are all action verbs. All right, action verbs such as Bill hit the ball. Hit would be our action verb because you can actually hit something. A cat purred softly. This is something that cat actually does. I walk to school. Walking is an action because you actually can walk. Susan spoke to me. When someone talks to you, they speak to you. They spoke to you. All right. We're not going to really talk about our linking verbs. Okay. All right. A helping verb. It helps a main verb. Keep in mind when I talked about skipping, jumping, playing, those are considered main verbs. Okay. So a helping verb helps a main verb. The helping verb comes before the main verb. Okay. So, a helping and main verb, I am eating my lunch. Keep in mind that eating is going to be your main verb, and am, of course, will be your helping verb, okay? You don't want to say I eating my lunch. So you need a helping verb there. I am eating my lunch, okay? The next one is Ed has taken the test. All right, taken needed a helping verb, and the verb was has. Has is a helping verb. Has taken the test. Okay. The last one is we were talking. We were talking. Talking is our action verb or our main verb, and were is our helping verb. All right, we're gonna do a little practice with this before we go into our worksheet. Pay attention because remember we're only talking about our helping and our main verb today, okay? So when you go into worksheet, you'll be able to identify because the directions on your worksheet ask you to draw 2 lines under your verb in each sentence. In the blanket, you're going to identify if this is an action verb, okay? All right, if the verb is not an action verb, you're going to leave it blank, of course, okay? So keep in mind that action is something that you can actually do, okay? All right, they are watching television. They are watching television. Now, keep in mind that our verb, our action verb, or our main verb would be watching, okay? This is something that you can do. Watching needed some help from our helping verb, which is are. They are watching television. So the verbs are watching. Those are both of our verbs. But keep in mind the verb are watching. Keep in mind this is the helping and this is the main again. All right, Frank was tired after work. Frank was tired after work, and the verb was because let me go back. Frank was tired after work. Okay, keep in mind that the verb is was, but this is considered a linking verb, okay? So we're not talking about linking verbs, but if you see was, know that that is linking something. Let me go back. It is linking Frank and tired together because Frank was tired, okay? All right, my dad drove his car to the store. So my dad drove his car to the store, and they underline drove because drove is your main verb, okay? My dad drove his car to the store. The verb is drove. And this, what kind of verb is this? They say it's an action verb, okay? Because you can actually drive, or that you remember that mom drove the car, okay? Finding Nemo is her favorite movie. This is again, we're not talking about linking verbs, but is a linking verb. So keep in mind, just food for thought. Was and is are linking verbs. I did my homework right after school. Did is underlined because this is a verb. What kind of verb do you think this is? If you said action verb, you are correct, the action verb. I did my homework right after school. Some of you might have said helping because how did you probably thinking of was and is and think did fit right into that category. No, it's not. It's an action verb, okay? Anne was cooking dinner in the kitchen. Was and cooking are underlined because those are two verbs. Now, can you figure out which one is my main verb or my action verb? And can you also figure out which one is the helping verb? Maybe you know one and not the other. But if you know one, you should know the other. So you know that this is going to be what? And this is going to be, let's see if you're right. Oh, if you said was is a helping verb, you're correct. And if you said cooking is the main verb, awesome. All right, the boys were playing in the park. Okay, they underline were and playing. So those are my two verbs that they underline, okay? All right. We understand that were is helping. Playing is the main verb or the action verb, okay? All right, we're going to do one more and then we're going to go on to our worksheet. Sarah competed Sarah competed in the track meet. So Sarah competed in the track meet and they underline competed, which is a verb. Now we're going to ask ourselves, is competed something we can actually do? Can we compete? Or would that be a helping verb? It's an action verb. So if you said action, great, because compete is something you can do. All right, Sarah competed in the track meet. All right, so with that being said, and we did that PowerPoint, I'm going to upload this PowerPoint into your Google Classroom so you can kind of look through it. There's more to go through. If you like to go through the end to the very end, that's fine with me, but keep in mind that it's talking about action, helping, and linking verbs. But the ones I want you to focus on today is the helping and the action verbs, okay? Looking at page 131, we're going to look at number 1. But first, I want you to read the directions. Hopefully, you've been reading the directions, and they're very straightforward, and hopefully, you're understanding them. If not, I want you to email me in the Google Classroom and let me know what you don't understand. So, for Think A, number 1, they want you to draw 2 lines under the verb in each sentence. Number 2, in the blank, write A if it is an action verb. If it is not an action verb, leave the blank empty, okay? So you're going to only write an A if it's an action verb, but they still want you to do everything, want you to do something to each one of them, and that is underline, all right? Draw 2 lines under the verb. So at each number, I want you to identify your verb, and you're going to draw 2 lines under that verb. But you're only going to write an A in the blank if it's an action verb. Remember, action verb is something that you do. We're going to do the first 3 together, okay? And then from there, I'm going to turn you loose with the rest, okay? I have faith in you, and I know you can do it. Number 1, Louis Pasteur was from Dole, France. Louis Pasteur was from Dole, France. Now, if I'm looking at this and I'm trying to figure out which one would be my verb, I would say this would be my helping verb. Not helping verb, I'm sorry. Yeah, helping verb. So, because I don't see anything that shows an actual action, but I remember that was one that Miss Jones discussed. So I'm going to underline was. Louis Pasteur was from Dole, France. Okay. Then you're going to ask yourself, is this an action? Can I was? No, you can't was. So you don't put an A there because that's not an action verb. Okay. Number 2, he was a famous scientist. Oh, I see that word again, was, because I don't see any other word that shows action. Okay. Was again is not an action verb. So I'm just going to leave the blank again. I'm not going to put my A there because that's not action. Number 3, Pasteur studied many diseases. My verb is obviously studied for number 3. I underline study twice, okay? Make sure you underline was in the first number 1 and 2. Make sure you put 2 lines under was because they're still your verbs, okay? For number 3, is studied. So underline studied twice. Now, you're going to ask yourself, is this an action or a helping verb? Can you study? Yes. So studied is an action. So you're going to put an A in the blank there. Okay? All right. So I want you to continue 1 through 9. Make sure you double check your work and make sure you're just reading everything. Make sure you read and reread for understanding. Okay? Going down to thing B, they want you to finish these sentences by putting subjects in the blank. Okay? Your answer is going to vary here as long as you have a subject. Remember, subjects are usually people, places, or things, okay? So if you're talking about a noun, in other words. Number 1 says, blank was my 2nd grade teacher. You can say, you can put a name down. Just put any name. Ms. Jones, Ms. Johnson, Ms. Jackson. It doesn't matter, okay? All right. All right. Keep in mind that, again, your answers are going to vary with this. And I just want you to remember that make sure it makes sense. Read it, reread it, and read it for understanding. If you can understand, if you read something you know it doesn't make sense, what do you think Ms. Jones wants you to do? Of course, I want you to go back. And I want you to make sure that what you're putting in your blanks are making sense, okay? All right. Number 2 was built an ark. Okay. Who built an ark? What can you put here? Think about our Bible lessons and tell me who you would put here. But again, your answers can vary. It's okay as long as you have a subject there, okay? All right. For right C, remember they want you to write an interrogative sentence and a declarative sentence. Remember, our types of sentences are interrogative, asks a question. So what do you think an interrogative sentence would end with if it asks a question? It's going to end with a question mark. A declarative sentence is simply going to end with a period because it's simply making a statement, okay? It doesn't require you to answer back. It's just a statement. That boy has on a red shirt. That's a declarative sentence, okay? All right. Think A and think B. On the back of 132, they want you to underline the subject 1 time and the verb 2 times. Subject is what the sentence is about. The verb is your action. So if you flip over on 132 and you're looking at number 1, it says the little reed bends. Reed is obviously our subject. So we're going to underline that 1 time. Remember, because they say underline the subject once. Bends, that's an action. That's a verb. So we're going to underline that twice. So subject once, verb twice, okay? Number 2, eerie lightning flashed, okay? Eerie lightning flashed. Lightning is our subject. So we're underlining that once. Flashed is an action. It's a verb. We underline that twice. So everybody understand that, I hope. If you don't, please email me in Google Classroom, please. Think B. Draw 2 lines under the verb in each sentence. Think B wants you to draw 2 lines under the verb in each sentence. Now, keep in mind that a verb can be the word was. Okay, so in number 1, Peter was a fisherman. Was would be our verb. Let's underline it how many times? Twice, okay? All right, this is considered your little quiz. So I just showed you number 1. So 2 through 8, I want you to do all by yourself, okay? And like I said, I have faith in you. I know you can do it. Think C. Draw 1 line under the subject of each sentence in exercise B. So this is another think C. Takes you all the way back to B again, and they want you to do something else to think B. But keep in mind when you're doing think B to focus on that verb, underlining those verbs twice the first time, okay? But then you can go back and worry about your subject and underlining that once, okay? All right, circle the letter. We're going to remember D now. Circle the letter of each sentence that has a correct capitalization and punctuation. I'm not going to go through this with you, but I will go through what it takes to make a sentence, okay? We talk about this all the time since day 1, right? A sentence always starts with a capital letter, okay? And it always ends with a punctuation. Keep in mind when to use your commas. When we're listing things in a sentence, we're going to use our commas. We're only going to capitalize within our sentence if we're talking about I for ourselves. We're talking about the months, the dates, and the year, okay? We're talking about when we're talking about different things, okay? Names need to be capitalized in places that actually have names because we know that those are plural, okay? Anything that is plural needs to be, not plural, I'm sorry, proper. Anything that is proper, a proper noun, needs to be capitalized. So that's names, actual places, and what else would it be? Months and days of the weeks, okay? Now, if you can think of anything else, please let me know. Keep in mind that when we're listing the date, how do you write the date? Remember how we discussed the commas, where the comma go, okay? So if you see a sentence that needs the comma, please put the comma, okay? All right. So 131 and 132 today. Good luck, and I look forward to talking to you again.